I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, Meagen Eisenberg. She's a seasoned executive board member, including the YCCI Advisory Board, and advisor to some of the fastest growing and most successful companies in enterprise and SaaS technology. In her current role, Meagen leads the marketing, growth, and sales development teams at Lacework and is Chief Marketing Officer. She serves on the board of G2 and Workstep and advises a portfolio of companies including Starburst Data, Styra, Product Board, Gretel AI, Clue, DemoStack, and Red Panda Data. Meagen also serves as a limited partner in Operator Collective, an investment firm that balances diversity with strategic investments. Her prior board and advisory work includes several companies that were successfully acquired, including StackRox, bought by Red Hat, an IBM company, Loom, bought by Atlassian, Reactful, bought by Metadata.io, and TinyPulse, bought by Limeade. Meagen trained as an engineer in MIS and CSC at California Polytechnic San Luis, holds an MBA from Yale School of Management, right here, and completed the Directors Consortium Executive Education from Stanford's Graduate School of Business. Meagen's diverse background that marries the science and art of technology brings her to a unique approach to her success. And beneath that constellation of work endeavors, Meagen's true superpower is in balancing her family and personal life. Married with 3 daughters and 4 dogs, she currently resides in the Bay Area, California. Welcome to stage, Meagen.
Good afternoon. Hope you all had a great lunch. Thankful to be here back at Yale. I was actually here this weekend. We had our 20-year reunion. Had to go to a security conference in San Francisco and come back. Today I'm excited to talk a little bit about how we use data to measure our brand campaigns and share a little bit about what we've been doing at Lacework. I think we had a very long introduction, so I was at Lacework, and I'm at Lacework now. Prior I was at Navan, which is a travel and fintech company, and then MongoDB, New York-based database company. All right, let's talk about Lacework. We are a cloud security company that's helping companies secure from build to run, which means code security at the point of creating your code, making sure it's secure, to risk management, understanding where you need to be compliant and have compliance and understand your posture management, to threat detection. You've been breached. How do you find that breach? Take care of it. And so for today's purposes, our core target audience is the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer. And I'll talk a little bit about what we've been doing to foster that community. But Lacework's been around 9 years. Our customers span from retail to tech to fintech. So think Airbnb, Atlassian, TSB Bank, Hodge Bank, over 900 customers that are using us to secure them. And we are a global company, North America, EMEA, APAC. All right, so let's talk about the cybersecurity space. It is crowded with vendors. As I said, I just came from RSA. There were over 600 vendors with booths talking about what they do. If you're a CISO, there's a lot of noise out there. A lot of people are emailing you, coming after you, trying to get part of your budget and help you solve all your security needs. So very crowded. It is a massive market, as you can see on the slide here, and it's only growing. We believe there's only 10% of all workloads in the cloud today. So much more to do and grow, but it is crowded, and as a marketer, we have to get through that noise and make sure we're in their selection set. When I look at what we're focused on at Lacework, I gave my team really 5 themes to look at. 1, elevate the CISO. And if you think about that from a funnel standpoint, going all the way down to actually getting your customer, that's making sure they're aware of us, that we're in the communities that they're in, that we're in their selection set, and that they start, as they're thinking about what they need, we come to mind. Then the next one was own the category. In this space, we have a lot of analysts. There's a lot of, I would say, acronyms. We've got KIM, and we've got CSPM, and CWPP, and the list goes on. And so there's an Uber category called CNAP. So making sure that we're known to those analysts as they're talking about and referring to their clientele, that we're part of that list. And that's as you're evaluating, oftentimes even in the consumer world, you're going to look at reviews, you're trying to figure out what's the best product. This is part of the B2B space. Own the competition, making sure we're very aware of where we differentiate and that we arm our sales team. We're B2B, so making sure that they know how we differentiate. And if you look at those, hundreds and hundreds of competitors, if you're going after a startup, there's a different set of competitors than if you go up market to enterprise. And so making sure we're armed with that information, and as part of the marketing organization, we own the content for sales enablement. And then, of course, elevating our customers, the other theme. As we know, customers talk about what they're using, and that helps drive more customers. I certainly go to these conferences with other CMOs, and I ask them about their tech stack. What are they using? What are their biggest challenges? How to use Gen AI, those different things. We're talking about it. That word of mouth drives more into the top of our funnel. And then we launched code security. So another theme was making sure that we're up on what we need to do to drive more business in that space. All right. Everything starts with data, of course, part of the talk. But in marketing, we probably have 15,000 metrics we could be looking at. So what are the right ones? How do we make sure that the spend that we're doing, so we can go back to the CFO, and get more spend, is actually having a return, making sure the campaigns we run, we can tell the ROI. Does it build pipeline? Does it actually turn into revenue or not? All of this matters a lot. And this matters a lot for our customers in the security space. They're protecting their data, and they're learning from it. We're also getting insights. Maybe it's competitive insights so we can do a takeout campaign. But we're constantly looking at the data we have available to us to do that. And we have a ton. I talked earlier about tech. What's our tech stack? We have over 20 different technologies alone. In marketing, sales probably has another 40. All of these are hosting data and allowing us to understand the effectiveness of our campaigns, whether they're brand generated or field. And it's a ton of different places that we have to log in and look at, which I'll talk to a little bit about how we've made that a little bit simpler for our sales team. But this is just the beginning. So this year, we actually launched, we used OpenAI's ChatGPT, and we had sales kickoff in February. Many tech companies do the beginning of their year. And what we found is, from a marketing standpoint, we're getting asked all the time where information's at. And we buy all the tools that were on the prior page. So we have Clue, which hosts our competitive data. We have HighSpot. We have learning LMS systems. We have a place you can go to Salesforce. You can get information on your customer. We have another tool that hosts all the customer case studies and quotes. Our whole website probably has 1,000 different assets that they're looking for that they can send out to a prospect. And what do? Well, they don't log into the tools. They go to Slack, which is a communication tool that we're using, and they ask the marketing channel, or they ask the sales team, hey, has anyone got a case study on retail? Hey, I'm up against this competitor, CrowdStrike. What do we have to help differentiate? And they do that all day long, and they ask the same question a week later because they just started. And so the team thought, how can we use a new tool? How can we enable them to be a little bit more efficient? And how can we stop wasting our time and being inefficient answering those questions? And so the team launched this tool, Lacework Assistive Experience, and now sales can go in and ask these questions. And we didn't launch it to everyone at once because we know, we have 40 tools, and the enablement on that, 20% of our sales team actually uses the tool. So in true marketing fashion, we had to create a select set. Only the first 10 people that signed up would get access. You'd be added to a list, and you could go in and slowly roll it out, and we continued to train the models. Now, a few months later, we've rolled it out to the entire team and have seen much better adoption. And the models have gotten smarter and smarter. One thing I find interesting when I read that marketers or teams are worried about Gen AI replacing their jobs, taking their jobs. What I would say as a CMO, there's so many things in marketing that nobody wants to do. That is work that is mundane and boring, and I would much rather have a team focused on creativity, strategy, looking at data and results, than pulling information and serving up information and enabling. So it's a great tool for that. And one more thing that we were able to do in the marketing organization, actually our CEO recommended, what if we did a hackathon? And so we had the team, this tool, Lassie, was built within marketing. We have pretty strong technologists. Actually, the head of web systems and ops, Ryan, learned the tool and then built that out. And then he took his skill set and started to train other marketers. So I have 40 on the team. And we divided them up. We put brand people and events people with product marketing and design. So we mixed up the teams and we gave them a challenge. They were gonna have 4.5 hours to do a hackathon, and then they had to present their idea to the CEO and myself and Ryan. And so it was really exciting because, of course, as marketers, we want to continue to evolve our skills and develop. And this is such a new tool, and I think sometimes people are afraid to dive in and learn the technology. But it was a great way for them to all get involved. And they came up with great ideas of how they could run events better, how they could do outreach, communications for sales better. And we ran the hackathon, and then we incorporated the winning idea into Lassie because one of the ideas was how do we better serve information to our sales team. So just a really great way to use the tools that we have out there. So if I go back to the case study of Lacework and the ways that we're doing brand and data, on the B2B side, 95% of our buyers are actually not in the market to buy. If you think about it, they have RFPs maybe once a year, but maybe every 2 to 3 years. So it's our job to access the information and data that we have to find when they're in market and point the sales team to that. And we have several things that we do and tools around that. But also our sales cycles are much longer than the consumer space. Average is 8 months. I would say if you're targeting large enterprises, like a lot of you, it's 12 months or longer. And it's not just one email that's going to do it. It's not just one ad that's going to do it. It's multiple touches. It's starting at that top of the funnel and creating the community with the CISOs so they're aware of us. It's understanding, it's going to the events that people are at and where they are in their buyer's journey and aligning to that. So let's talk about brand gen. That's that combination of brand awareness and demand gen, that how we look at that funnel and how we do these brand plays that we'll go through and get those to actually convert into business, but more importantly, measuring if it worked or not. And I'll go through some case studies of that. I think there's 4 ingredients to brand gen. Creativity. I'm in the security space. I would say, you know, RSA, the conference, it launched in 1991. So there are a lot of legacy providers. And in entering the space a year and a half ago, one of the things that was very obvious is that fear was used a lot to drive the purchase process, fear of getting breached, fear of all the alerts, and do you have the right rules written, and are you prepared for what's coming for your business? And the life of a CISO is not very long at a business. They tend to be the scapegoat. And actually, it's a very high stress job. And so if you're marketing stress and you're marketing FUD and fear, it doesn't seem like a great way to get through 600 plus vendors or the hundreds and hundreds of vendors that are out there. You're going to look like everyone else. That doesn't stand out. So I challenged the team to come up with ideas that would build a relationship with our target audience, that then through that and awareness, then we could sell into that base. The other challenge is we weren't as well known by the CISO community. So what could we do to make sure we were more aware? And then content, as I said, there's a lot of content written about the different breaches that are out there, Androx, Ghost, Log4j, and on and on. In fact, we have a labs team and we do a lot of research and we make sure our customers are aware and we help them find all of these as well. But there's other ways to create content that's useful for them and frameworks that they can be using in their business, and we created a community for customers to come to get those sort of information and frameworks as well. And then the third is context. If you think about it, there's a lot of things that are happening in our space that we can tap into. One of the campaigns that I'll go through next tapped into the Barbie movie, and you're probably wondering, why are there stickers from Lacework in your bag? And some of these look like Barbie stickers. Well, that's why, and I'll go into that next. But there's regulations that are happening. If you're in the US and you're a public company, there's the SEC framework that you had to comply with by December 18th of last year. So as marketers, it's really understanding what are CISOs dealing with, and that particular SEC ruling or mandate was saying that within 4 days, if you're breached, you have to report that out. And so there wasn't a lot of information around it, but we got a group of CISOs together and really brainstormed what would be the right framework to go address that if you had that breach, and then to report it back. out. And so that's an idea of really what's relevant context for our CISOs and audience. And then of course conversion, we're running these campaigns. Do they, in looking at the data, does it actually return for us? Is it giving us the results we want? Are we closing more business? So the first campaign is a Barbie campaign. Think back a little over more than a year ago, we were coming up 6 months before Barbie came out. Pink was everywhere. Barbie, things were everywhere. People were getting excited for this really pop culture moment. So I was with the team thinking, what can we do? I think that the consumer companies out there do get to have a lot of fun and do a lot of great work around what's happening in, on TV, and you think about all the pop culture moments that you tap into and the ability to do that. And I think there's no reason why B2B companies can't have more fun and can't, I feel like a lot of B2B marketing is really boring. Here's a white paper, here's a webinar you can attend. But how do you actually get through the noise and make it a little more exciting, and also galvanize your community? And one of the insights we had is, of course, women only represent 25% of the cybersecurity workforce. So how could we create idols? How could we tap into that and really celebrate representation in our industry and have a little fun? And so what we did is we actually created a CISO Barbie. We took Gamer Barbie, so she is a legit Barbie. We gave her a hoodie. As we know in the tech space, we like our hoodies, and we put our logo on it, and we put her in a new box with our value prop, and we promoted her, and we sent it out to some of our customers who got excited and promoted and shared stories around it. We, had her at events show up, and we did a lot of social media activation. We did a quiz because, of course, we can't just do a brand activation and not how do we drive that funnel and get more people into the funnel. One of the other challenges I was facing is we've innovated and launched a lot of products on our platform, and people didn't know we had a KIM solution. They didn't know we had composite alerts. So we had all these different things that really mattered in the security space. And so how could we create a fun quiz that when you go through it, you learn about our product, but in a fun way? And actually, if you want to, at some point, you can go to barbie.lacework.com and take this kitschy quiz that we did. And so we armed sales with it. We put it on our social channels, and we had a ton of people come in and take the quiz. And at the end, of course, we asked if they'd like to see a demo of the product. And so we could track as people came through. So every time we did an activation, we drove them to a quiz. The other thing is sales is always trying to get your attention and emailing you and offer something in exchange for a meeting. We gave them tickets to the Barbie movie, or really just AMC tickets. You can go to any movie you want, but in exchange for meeting with us, you would get 2 tickets to go to Barbie. And so just things that were fun for us. And I wasn't sure, as I was starting to go through it, I was talking to folks in Europe. The German team wasn't sure they wanted to do it. The French team, France, was not sure. The UK team was excited, and actually it worked really well in the UK and the US, and our Asia Pac team was really excited about it. But you could imagine there could be some backlash if not orchestrated right. And so we launched the campaign, and I was quite impressed by it, and we actually have people writing us all the time asking for a CISO Barbie. Will CISO Barbie be at the next event? And we got a lot of good results out of it. By the way, we had a sticker pack at the booth, so you could put stickers on your laptop. We made a Spotify song list, all these security songs that Barbie would sing. We wrote a blog about securing Barbie's dream house, which got a lot of views. And so as you can imagine, it sort of went through, and it worked. It was a bet that worked and drove some fun conversations, but it also endeared not only our customers, but prospects to what we were doing. And they begged the question, okay, Barbie CISO, but what does Lacework do? Right? So the whole point is not just to talk about CISO Barbie, but eventually to have the conversation about what we do and what we can do for you, and how CISO Barbie protects her dream house, and to learn a little bit more. So a lot of just fun in the B2B space with this campaign. And as you can see, very measurable. We could see how many meetings were set up. We had social activation. In order to get in the drawing for Barbie, you had to post on social, and then there was a drawing for it. So just a lot of great ways to engage with our community. The next kind of case study or campaign that we ran was how, okay, continuing to build this relationship with CISOs. How do we get their attention, but also elevate what they do? They're doing some amazing things. They're protecting a ton of data. They're helping their businesses innovate. So how do we celebrate who they are? And there's not really, there's awards for every category. If you're in marketing, which most of you are, we have lots of listicles that we're on. And we've been on them, and what happens when we're on a listicle? We get excited, we post it on social, maybe we put it on LinkedIn, maybe our company celebrates it. And so kind of the insight was there really wasn't something like this in our category. And so we came up with a list of 50, we launched it. We've done 2 years now. The second year was this January. And we celebrated not only customers, but prospects. And of course, they took it, the listicle, they posted it. We created badges for them, kits for them. Some of their companies like Sprinkler got so excited their CISO was on the list that they put a message out to all of their customers and prospects celebrating that. So it was a great way to, one, what does Lacework do? Sales reps reach out, congrats on top 50. Let us know if we can talk or meet. Excited to see you on the list. It was just a great way to start building a relationship while celebrating this audience. And you can see we had a lot of impressions. We had a lot of sales motions and follow-up. We had a lot of just inbound, say, how do I get on this list in the future? And people using it really as a badge of honor as they were at some point going on to their next company or their next move. And then the last really kind of campaign or brand campaign that I was going to talk about today is the board book, the CISO board book. It's a really interesting program that has also driven a lot of just awareness and funnel and our funnel. What we know from insight and looking at the data is that cybersecurity is a board level discussion. Boards all over. I did this Stanford consortium course. We had a full day on cybersecurity, how we're responsible on boards for it, and the information that we need to know. And there's a lot there, and how we protect our companies from it. And so that matters a lot, and it matters to our CISOs. They get brought into the board to talk about the risks that they have, if they've had any breaches, everything that we do and provide for them from dashboarding and understanding that they're on the hook for that, and they need to be able to do that quickly and easily. Also, it's in our best interest if CISOs are on boards, because they're going to prioritize budget, and they're going to prioritize making sure they have the right tools to protect their business. And so we took that insight and we decided we would launch this modern CISO board book. And what it was is, one, we reached out to CISOs, you had to be a C-level, and we told them we'd help them build their bio. We would help them take their LinkedIn profiles, we created a template, we gave them lots of examples, and we'd help them get prepared to be in the selection set, to be on these boards. And what we found is, of course, they were very interested in understanding and learning that. And so the sales team reached out, we put messages out, we worked with a couple recruiting firms like Heidrick & Struggles and Egon to make sure we tapped into their networks as well for recruiting, and then we tapped into boards as well that were looking for board members, private to public. And we started to create this. We had over 500 CISOs actually say yes, raise my hand. We had a few say, tell me, what is this? What does Lacework do? I'm confused, a little bit about this. And so I went through kind of the insights and explained why we care about this and why CISOs should be on boards. And personally, I met with several of them and talked about my experience. I'm on 2 boards currently, but it started with writing a bio. It started with making introductions to CEOs that were looking for go-to-market experts on their board, and I went through a similar process. And so sometimes it's enough, but as you imagine, if you're a CISO and you're working with a company and they start to help you do something you want to do, you build that relationship. And I did have a few salespeople go, but how do I tie this back into what we're doing? And my comment was, well, you're building a relationship with them. They're naturally asking what Lacework does. And through that conversation, maybe you're meeting them for coffee. Maybe you're following up. Maybe you're helping make an introduction for them. And we saw those, relationships being built And then from the marketing standpoint, when we launched the first edition, we had 159 that actually filled out, did their profile, and did all the work when we launched it. And we did an event at the Battery in San Francisco, and we had CISOs come and speak. And so we helped them make a network of other CISOs by bringing them together on this particular topic. And since then, we've taken it to other places, and actually we'll do a third edition, June 13th in New York at the NYSC, where we'll have more speakers talk about being on boards. We'll launch the next version of the board book. The other interesting thing we did from a marketing standpoint is we took a page out in the Wall Street Journal. Now, we didn't do nationwide, that's pretty expensive, and we didn't do it in color, but we took all of those 159 CISOs, put them on there, their photo, their name, title, and then we sent them a copy of the paper. And as you can imagine, same thing I would do if someone put my name in the Wall Street Journal and it was for a good reason. I would take a picture, put it out on, on social and talk about it. And it's exciting. And if you're reading this paper, you want to figure out, how do I get in the CISO board? If I'm a CISO and I'm looking at this. So we picked, New York, Boston, Atlanta, the Bay Area, and Chicago to run this in. And then the second edition, we picked the New York Times, and we picked a paper in London. So we could continue to, not only would we activate their social networks and who they know, we would then tap into net new audiences and drive awareness of this. And not only did it drive awareness of the people in there, but for people looking for CISOs on their boards. I imagine we're reading the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and these others. So it was a great, really a great way to celebrate and get the word out and build community. And if I think about that funnel, it starts with them having a relationship with your company, knowing who you are, what you do, and building trust. And there's nothing more important in security than trust. And I think that's a much better way than using fear, getting people to buy your product, but having a relationship that you continue. And we are a platform, so they may come in for a point solution, but they build a relationship with us. The expansion is much better as they learn about everything that we do, and it helps our sales teams build those relationships. And here's a little bit on the impact. Since launching, we've had over 250 in this book. We have a digital version as well that we can send out to companies looking for it, and a PDF of it, and a website you can go and actually search and look for CISOs that you may want to bring in. We'd have over 1 million impressions. For the B2B world, that's a big number. It might not be as big in the consumer world, but tapping into that is a big deal. Over 82 different opportunities that are either active or closed in the sales cycle from this. So really taking a brand campaign and turning that into something that we can build a business on. Well, we have a little time for questions, or a lot of time for questions. I'd open it up. Yeah. Or not.
I have one, actually.
So I love the idea of the listicles and the Wall Street Journal ad. Do you ask permission, or do you say that's sort of a rogue marketing tactic and it works because you don't sort of prompt that sort of thing?
Yeah, we don't ask for permission. We do not. We had that discussion. I would say most of the listicles I'm on, you get notified the day before or a few days before, hey, congratulations, you're on this listicle. This is where it's going to announce. Please don't pre-announce it. We have a press release. And we have not received any backlash, actually. Not one from the top 50 CISOs. We've done that 2 years in a row. Actually, the most backlash I've had is one customer was really upset they were not on the list. So be smart about that. So that was, I think, the only thing on that. And the board book, we're certainly asking for permission there because they have to create their bio. And I would say the more public company CISOs asked a lot more questions and did due diligence on what this meant and where it was going to go and who was sponsoring it. But for the most part, I think humans, we like to be celebrated. We like to be on lists. We're proud of the work that we're doing, and I think this particular audience doesn't always get that recognition, but they really do enable businesses to innovate. Yeah. questions? Oh, we have one here maybe.
Thanks so much. As you were talking about targeting the CISO, we know that one individual isn't the only one responsible for the decision making for a company. How do you tailor your content and your messaging to attract some of those influencers and other individuals within the company?
Yeah, it's a really good question because you're right. We've got, because we're a platform and we do code security all the way to threat detection, we have SOCs, we have DevOps, developers, and so we do have a whole slew. And as I was saying, the sort of buying journey of 95% of companies are not in it. They're at different cycles. There's a committee to buying. So we have to we create BVAs, so business value assessments for the CFO, because they want to know that what's the return on this investment that they're going to get. We have a community of content. So content gets created for DevOps, it gets created for SOC, it gets created for CFOs, CISOs. When we run webinars, it's not just to CISOs. So topics that we have in webinars and white papers can be anyone in the security space. When we go to events, they're not just CISOs there, so we're investing in things like RSA, reInvent, Reinforce. All of those have all different audiences. So if you come by the booth and we show you a demo, we tailor the demo to the person that's coming by. When we create ads, digital marketing, it's not just to the CISO. It might be a specific topic that would be relevant to anyone that was trying to address that. And then for our sales team, we provide them with outreach emails based on persona. And actually, every Friday they get a newsletter that breaks down the top 3 things that they can use to reach out to the CISO, DevOps, and we're very clear who this makes sense for and the information that they would need. So yes, you're right. I talked a lot about sort of the highest level, maybe the executive buyer, the person where everything wraps up to, because it's much easier if a salesperson starts at the top. Maybe they get pushed down. It's much harder to go to DevOps and pillar up and get the budget. And so we try to start there because we think it shortens the sales cycle. But we certainly have content across the board. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. Or over here. Sorry.
Hi, thank you so much. These were such bold and unorthodox approaches for your industry. I'm just curious, did you meet a lot of resistance internally first, and did you have to do a lot of persuading of people to launch?
It's interesting. I was very fortunate. My CEO came from Facebook. And so at the beginning of a few of the ideas, I spoke to him on it and kind of went through it, like the top 50 CISOs and listicles. Actually, funny, I was asking about budget for digital marketing because most CEOs push back on that. And he reminded me that I was at Facebook for 12 years. So I think I had support at the executive level. And I had come from Navan, which was Trip Actions, and then that CEO also did not want to do boring B2B, wanted us to be more consumer-like. And so I think I've been fortunate where I've had leaders that understand, and as humans, nobody wants boring, and there is a lot of noise out there. The only place I got pushed back on Barbie is what I said in Germany and France. They thought this might not work, but I thought I would get more pushback from legal. And actually, our legal team did all the work to make sure what we were doing was legal, and they were huge advocates, actually going through the deck of what we wanted to do and the excitement that they had, and actually I would love one for my daughter, or I would love one for my wife, or I'd love one for myself, and kind of the excitement around the role model that went with it. You could just see people, when you went through it, if you said it, it was like, wait, but when you showed the activation and how we were going to do it and tie it to the business and representation, and then we talked to a few customers and they love the idea of having a role model. And we've had CISOs come to our office, and sort of the gift bag is a CISO Barbie, and I always get comments back, this is my most favorite swag item. It's really cool. I took it home and I showed my daughter, and I felt like I could talk about what I do, and it meant something. And so we did see pretty good response on it. Yeah.
How do you ensure that the marketing team is speaking to the product team and vice versa?
Well, I mean, definitely we can't do our job if we don't understand the product, and it's very technical. And so marketing has different skill sets. If you think about it, our product marketing team is crucial for us in order to truly understand, or we put something out in the market that just sounds really stupid because we're excellent at field or digital or a certain side of it. And so our product marketing team works very closely with the product team. And the head of product marketing was actually a prior CTO and has done a great job of just having those meetings. And when we're launching products, we really need to understand what's the wow, write the press release before you actually do the product. And then what you're bringing to market, what's the why behind that? Why do we care? We do tend to want to do more features versus what the outcome is that it's driving. So truly understanding why this is exciting for a security buyer and how we put it out there. But you have to meet, you have to do the work, you have to plan together, and marketing has to bring value. I will say at a prior company, the product team didn't feel like we brought good ideas or helped in strategy, that we were just there listening for them to hand off what was coming, and they didn't see us as adding value. And so it does matter that you have more technical people on your team, so you get a seat at the table and you're actually adding value.
Oh yeah, sorry, I thought you were pointing. I really love the campaigns, and I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the process of how you actually got to the campaign ideas, because there's such clever ways of establishing a rapport, and I think giving voice to obviously a really important cohort and clientele of yours. But how did you get there? What did that really look like as a working process?
Yeah, when I first started, I was pulled into a meeting on we're getting, CISOs don't know who we are. Our competition has a better community of CISOs. What can we do to drive our awareness? And so that set off a series of meetings, brainstorming, and what could we do every quarter? And what was that theme that we could do? And the first one was the top 50 CISOs. One, because it didn't take a lot of budget. It took, writing and social. It took the team to write it up. It took sales to really look at target lists and who we should be targeting for it and having a process around it. So that kicked it off. The second quarter, it was Women's Month. And so we did a campaign that I didn't talk about called Secured by Women. But we thought, okay, this is a big deal. The 25%. What could we do in this space? And that particular campaign was, okay, nominate any woman in security. And the top 5 will pay for them to go to any security conference. So further their education, we'll pay for their travel. NASDAQ as a partner would put them up in Times Square, which they did, celebrating them. And we gave them badges that they'd been nominated by Secured by Women, so they could put that on social. So it was as we were coming into the next quarter, I also have a really good brand leader who I can say, okay, Barbie, how do we do this? And he came back with all these great ideas, right? And found the legal way to do it. So, having a great team, brainstorming and understanding what's the goal. This particular goal was CISOs knowing who we are and a brand campaign that could connect it. And then we did the board book in Q3. And so every quarter we tried to figure out what that CISO theme was. Now, also at the same time in these quarters, we have to do all the other funnel things. We have to work with the analysts. We have to do outbound. We have to do webinars. We're running events and different things. But we tied these themes into it. Like Secured by Women at the booth, we had shoes that you were, customized, I don't know, Air Force Ones or something. But it had the Secured by Women icons on it. And so we tied it into that. And then once we did Barbie, we had Barbie at the booth. We had this big digital wall, and she would pop up, which got a lot of attention because she's bright pink and she's gets your attention. So people would come over and ask, what's Barbie about? And then we'd talk about it and do the social activation. But a lot of just getting the team to brainstorm and then to think, what's the cool thing that's different that's happening? So Barbie movie, now it's the Olympics. Security is a team sport. We hear our CISOs talk about that. How do we build a culture of security? And so that'll be something we'll carry in through the next couple quarters leading to the Olympics. So it's just trying to think about and get the team in a space, I think an expansive space versus, more restrictive. It's like no idea is dumb. Come together and throw out what we can be doing. Also just looking at consumer, right? What are consumer companies doing? And why can't, how do we apply it in the B2B space? What is the thing that we could learn from them? And just walking down the street, what caught my attention, right? What am I thinking about? It's trying to also put yourself in their shoes.